Hey guys, it's Barb with Inspire Me 360, and I want to talk today about the lesson of detachment. So that, concept that so many spiritual gurus and teachers talk about this principle that essentially we are detaching from the ego self and that we are becoming empty to know all that is. And in and of itself, this is it's a great teaching. It's certainly one of the lessons that we come here to Earth to learn, but it's not the only lesson. And I feel like a lot of spiritual teachers get a little bit lost in this detachment concept, the concept that to reach enlightenment, we completely separate from the self and we become this empty container, and we kind of detach ourselves from all outcomes, all pieces and parts of life that we previously labeled or we previously sought out as our identity principle. And again, it is a lesson. It is a good lesson. There's a lot of humility and grace and mercy that comes through the lens of detachment, because it allows us to become the observer, to step back from everything that is out manifest and to see it in a very neutral way where we are not filtering it through the lens of the ego. But this is not the only lesson. This is not the end of the line, so to speak. And when we're filtering information through the lens of the ego, we're also learning a tremendous amount of information about creation, about our journey as a soul, and what it is to be incarnated or existing in beingness. So I just want to make sure that these principles are taught correctly so that as you are working along your spiritual path, you don't lose yourself so much so that there is no enjoyment in life. And I think this is the key principle. It's okay to become empty. It's okay to detach, but don't detach from the joy, the love, the passion, the things that immerse you in physical reality in a way that then you become, or you start to lower your vibrational state. Because remember, everything is energy, everything is vibration, and those are the key principles that you are meant to understand and learn, and really pay attention to how your energy body feels. So if you are feeling an expansion of consciousness through the lens of detachment from things, because again, those attachments are tethering you to these lower vibrational thought forms, then this is an excellent exercise, and you may want to utilize this detachment and this surrender for a certain amount of time to, again, augment your spiritual ascension process. But as soon as you become so detached that it is propelling you into sort of a zombie-like state or a kind of a depression because you are not connected, this is the time where you put that lesson aside and take up a new lesson. You start to reconnect yourself and interconnect yourself into everything with the previous lesson, or depending on how you are growing spiritually, with integrating the lesson of that detachment into the renewed spirit of connectedness and attachment. And it's when we put all of these beautiful lessons in unison that we really start to realize that there is truly unlimited learning, and that there's no particular time interval that is required for these lessons. So you may have a soul that's incarnated here that really devotes their entire lifetime to this observer perspective, this detachment lesson, and that's completely okay. There's nothing wrong within the system of learning through our own free will, through what we call forth on our own soul's journey. But I do want to, detachment is not the only way. And if it is feeling uncomfortable for you, don't force yourself to detach from everything. I very much, I've read Eckhart Tolle's books. I've really studied this kind of notion of emptying oneself so that we are detached from the external reality and what is three-dimensional manifestation. Even the Course in Miracles, to some degree, is requiring us to have this surrender or this detachment. But it didn't resonate with me in a way that I believed was in line with the feeling or the energy of the divine or creation that I have experienced throughout my life. I felt like this is a great piece of the puzzle. It definitely is a way or a perspective of understanding the gentleness of creation and the aspect of non-doership, where we kind of detach and surrender and let go and kind of let life live us. But if we do it in a way that we are so completely detached, again, we will really lower our vibration because we won't feel empowered. And part of feeling empowered and part of that journey into understanding that you are also the creator. And let me spell this out so that it doesn't sound egotistical. When any teacher teaches that you are or I am the creator, what that message actually is that we are joining with the creator. So through the mechanism of accessing divine mind by raising our consciousness or our energy levels to the point where we essentially commune with that very high intelligence that is open to us once we have achieved a certain level of enlightenment or spiritual vibrational state or output, then that is essentially where God or the divine can communicate with us. Because again, understand that that which is the source of creation or spirit, God, the quantum field, whatever you'd like to term it as, can only meet us at a certain level. It's kind of like that high vibrational state, which is source energy, is up here. And in three-dimensional reality, we are kind of residing down here. But as we elevate and ascend in our consciousness and our understanding of the entire system, we raise ourselves up to this level. And that divine intelligence can kind of move down to meet us via different elements like angelic beings, our spirit guides, the Holy Spirit. These are different terms, these are different word forms, but essentially all they mean is that that very high vibrational energy is able to kind of descend itself to meet us at this point where we have ascended to. And there is a point where it cannot descend any lower. The amount of unconditional love and light that it holds, it just cannot go past a certain threshold, okay? And this is also when we talk about concepts like heaven, very, very similar concept. There's the plane that is of dimensional existence that we term heaven is simply a plane of existence that is so high vibrational that we can not yet perceive it from our conscious vibrational output at this current time. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. And when we lose a body, so when we go into that transition between three-dimensional matter-based life and that next lifetime, because we are not contained in this dense body vehicle, that's how we have access to higher and higher realms of existence, which can be termed heaven-like, because of course they feel very beautiful. There is a lot of light and love and just unconditional welcoming and healing energy in these higher dimensions. So the ultimate goal is not to become empty. It's not to make yourself so translucent that nothing emanates from you and you just basically meditate yourself into an eternal nothingness. That's not the lesson. It's just we empty ourselves to understand what we want to fill ourselves with. And that is in essence the lesson. And once we have emptied ourselves of all of the distortion and distraction and things that don't serve us, that's when we kind of move on to stage 2 and we start to figure out what we want to be full of. What do we want to fill our cup with? And that usually ends up being, joy, laughter, interconnectedness, immense love for all beings, love for the planet, filling our purpose up in terms of serving others, loving others, inspiring others, creating dynamic systems to help raise the collective vibration. And that is kind of lesson 2, where you go into service, but you go into service with a very diligent and calculated plan of how you want your creation and your existence to be. Because again, you're writing your own story, and it should be a story of love. It should be this beautiful out manifestation of the most brilliant, the most exciting adventure of a love story, which is you are your own love story that you can create. And all of the twists and turns and lessons and things that are part of that story are acclimated into the collective in terms of a greater knowingness. And through the experience of all beings, all human beings, all life forms, the creator comes to know itself better. And as we are part of creation, we are part of the creator as well. But we are a small sliver of that, all that is principle. And there's nothing to be afraid of in that. And also in terms of the concept of returning home, it's not, the journey itself is not for you to travel back towards the light and just be kind of absorbed into this glob of oneness is the best way to put it. It doesn't work like that. When you return to the higher realms of existence, there is adventure and creation and fun and so much happiness and joy. And it's also out and expressing in a multitude of ways. It's not a static state. And I think this is the most confusing principle I've noticed that has been, taught in terms of Earth School, is that this oneness is just very static, or it's very, almost like this tone, and you just kind of turn back into a vibration or an energy, and this is going to kind of be your state for eternity, and you have this pervasive peace that is going on forever and ever and ever and ever. And yes, you're going to return to peace, but as you ascend, you create in a more beautiful way. Your creations become more and more magical and beautiful. And magical is kind of a strange word, but we understand it here on Earth. But they just become so beautiful and so full of light and love. And we can't conceive the higher realms while we're here. But what can bring any individual peace is knowing that the higher realms do exist, and the story or the continuation of your incarnation in these other dimensions should be something that you look forward to, okay? It is exciting stuff. And it also shouldn't be something that you rush into, because again, there's cults and people out there that, want to get to these other dimensions, or, jump on a comet or silly things like that. Now, you don't access it that way. You have to go through your incarnation in and of the laws that are set forth for Earth School. If you try to jump out of school early or skip class and don't want to participate, really it's not worth it. So it's not worth it if you skip your lessons, if you decide not to do life, if you take yourself out of society and learning, or whatever it is that troubles you about the learning process. Even something as serious as suicide. If people are overwhelmed, it's not a good action to opt out, because again, there's a lot of karmic density that comes with that. It's not that it's specifically in judgment of it. It just means that you're really going to have to learn your lessons in your upcoming lifetimes. And so it's better to be more gentle with yourself in this particular lifetime and go slow and steady. Do what you need to do to ground yourself and to find peace and to find love. I mean, that's really the glue that is going to get you through each and every day. If you have that loving energy in your life and continually, each and every day, you are nourished by love, life becomes beautiful. And even the tough stuff, it doesn't matter how hard it is, if you're continually being re-enlivened and kind of energized by this energy of love, your life will feel blissful. Even in the chaos, it will feel really, really happy and good. So no matter what stage of the game you're in, the first order of business, the first thing that you need to do to set yourself on an amazing track for, if we want to talk in three-dimensional terms, just an amazing experience of life. And if you are wanting to, go along your spiritual journey, make sure your foundation is anchored in love. Make sure that everything around you, possibly that you can experience in a day, is very loving and a very supportive container for you. And you can do this. I mean, obviously I own companies. I specifically handpick employees that are gorgeous human beings that are full of light and love, and we have an amazing supportive dynamic and community within our companies. We work each and every day on collaboration, community, collectively helping each other, not pulling each other apart, working on your family dynamics. So how can you make your home life even more special, even more supportive and warm and nurturing? So really creating those foundational elements in your life. And then in terms of everything else you experience, your friend groups, all of that stuff, really being discerning about who you are allowing into your field and making sure that you're setting up that individual grid of high volumes, high energy, high frequency love, because it is that love energy that will allow you to ride any wave. It will take you through all of the hills and valleys, and it always brings you home, because again, that is your core soul home frequency. All of us have to return to love. All of us have to be able to absorb love on a daily basis in a real, tangible way, and I'm talking real, true love, whether it's parental love, whether it's spousal love, whether it's love from your animals or your children or your friends or your coworkers. But it is this force that basically bridges everything together and allows a lifetime to really unfold seamlessly and in a fashion that you can be patient with all things. All of the other lessons will be learned when they're meant to be learned if you have love as your infrastructure. So I'm going to sign off. I've got to get back to work, but hopefully this made some sense to you guys. And again, don't try to become too empty, too detached. Your ego is not your enemy. It's also a learning tool. And all of it is, there's not one right or wrong lesson. There's a multiplicity of lessons that all culminate to create and generate a higher and higher understanding or frequency within our own consciousness. So I will see you in the next video.